Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. So I'm going to start a craft video, and then we'll finish it later. So there'll be two parts to this, but when you get it, they'll all be together. Um, I'm sure some of you have noticed that I have had a broom back there, a short broom, and that is this one here. I bought two of these with the idea of doing some cross broom over a door frame or something. I wasn't sure, as a protection kind of thing. Crossed brooms across the threshold, excuse me, is pretty typical or common of um, some folk magic kind of stuff. And when you do them, you have the brooms crossed with the bristles up and then crossed in the center like so. And I finally was inspired to start. And so that's what I'm sharing the beginning part of this process with you today. So this is the broom before anything has been done to it. And I did buy them, they're identical brooms, and I bought them new, and I've not used them for any other purpose. So they've just been sitting around waiting for me to become inspired, which can take time. So this is where I'm at the moment. See if I can get a close look at that. This is some crochet cotton and purple ribbon that I used, and I made a sleeve, and I did 5 rows of double crochet with spaces in between them so that I could use that to put the ribbon in. And so this is going to be on both brooms. And this is the second sleeve that I haven't put on the other broom yet. So as you can see, or maybe you can see, depending on how I do this, I started off with 2 rows of half double crochet, 1 row of double crochet with the space in the middle. If that is easier to see. You see those spaces in there? Yeah. And that's for the ribbon, to put the ribbon through. And then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those spaces, and that is the way I did that. So then I'll do the second broom handle here so you can see my process. So then you're going to decide where you're going to start it. This is kind of, yeah, where my string is. This is kind of like the back of the thing. And I'm going to go through. Well, actually, since that is the back of the thing, I guess it doesn't matter. I want to do it the other way. I'm taking that back out. I want to have the main part of the ribbon coming out the front, even though I end up with doing sort of the knots at both ends just for neatness. And it doesn't matter if it comes out of the same hole or not. I wasn't really being very particular about counting it. I just sort of winged it, as it were. So you're going to do that on all 5 of your ribbons, 5 of your holes. Try and start off at the same place in general each time. And when you're doing this kind of thing, when I was making the sleeve for this, and I was focusing on the purpose for which I was making it, so that while you're doing it, you're sort of putting your intent and focus and attention, your magical intention, onto the product that you're creating. And it's actually a passive way of charging up an item. Sort of happens automatically while you're doing that. And so that's one of the important things about magical craft, is that you want to be in that frame of mind when you're doing it. Get around there. And this is not a soft ribbon, so it likes to get tangled up a little bit. You want to make sure you leave plenty of ribbon too, because I'm going to do a knotting process as well after I put it on. And after, during the second part of the video, when that comes up, I'm going to be showing you a protective sachet that I've done. So we'll cover that as well in this video. So this is going to be like, some witchy home protection things that you can do for your house. And this one, it might be more obvious that you're a witch. Witches are definitely associated with brooms. Not just witches, but there's a lot of magical traditions where brooms are used for sweeping out things, sweeping out stale energy, sweeping out negative energy, that sort of stuff. I do a lot of that with banishing homes when I'm called in on a paranormal event, and having the homeowner take a broom and sweep the negative energy out. For that process, I always go counterclockwise to release negative energy, and start at the front door, and then end at the front door and open the door and let it all out. And I like to have the homeowner use the broom for that purpose, just because even if they're not a magically inclined individual, by the fact that it's their home, it gives them a certain amount of juice, as it were, and authority, because it belongs to them, it's their space. So whenever you can get the person who lives there involved, so you're in there somewhere, there you go. So you can see it takes a little bit of time, but it's not like it takes forever in order to do that part. And that's the thing, you don't want to be hurrying. Now, I picked red, partly because I had it. I have red and I have purple crochet cotton that I've used to do various things over the years. Purple because it's the acacia color, and I've made like pouches, crocheted pouches, and that kind of thing with the crochet cotton for that. I don't have a specific pattern I follow. I just kind of, make something that looks like a pouch. and then make a space for string to go through, or ribbon, or or crochet cotton to make a loop for it, or put it in someone's pocket. I've done some little ones for spirit seals. Ian has made a couple of spirit seals to help either for protection or for health or whatever it was at the time. And I made little purple pouches for those. And it's kind of interesting. I find them every so often. I was cleaning out an old purse the other day, and I found one that he had made for me. I was like, we have a dog from the neighborhood in our yard. I think he's up on the roof. That's probably why the dog is barking. Get in there. I can see you. So if you don't know how to crochet and you're going to do something similar, you can, you can use leather, make a leather strip kind of thing, and then use ribbon to tie it on. This is sort of knot magic is included in this. I mean, crocheting in itself is like knot magic if you're making something special out of it. Get in there. If you're a really great knot person, you can probably create specialized knots. Guy's all twisted up. I know you're in there. There you are. Come on out. There we go. When I first started this, I did not know exactly what I was going to do with the ribbon after I put it through, but once I put it on, I wanted to knot it, so that's what I did with it. And that's the thing about this kind of stuff, is no like wrong way to do it. You can do it anyhow, any way you want. The main thing for the cross brooms is that when you put them up, that you have the bristles up, not bristles down. Because the idea is they're going to catch any negative energy and keep it from falling to the floor because they're facing upward. I had a investigation at another witch's house that I did, and she had done the cross brooms in her living room above the big living room window going to the outside, and she had put the brooms facing down. And it was interesting because as soon as I walked into that room, I definitely felt unwelcome in the room, which I thought was interesting. And, so I ignored it, of course, because she'd asked me to be there. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever this is, it doesn't apply to me. And one of the other people I had with me noticed that the brooms were facing down instead of up. And then she changed them while we were there and completely changed the energy in her room. So that was interesting, that there was a definite energy flow that I could detect. And I really hadn't read up much about this as a folk magic kind of thing. The other day, I saw some stuff online about blue bottle trees, which I thought looked pretty fascinating. It's one of the kind of folk magic that they do in the South. Okay, so we've gotten this together. I need to sort of get this put away here so it's not sticking out so much. Just kind of tie it off, making it neat. Tuck that on the inside. Go. Bottom one out of the way. So I had to try it first to make sure it was going to work, of course. Nothing like showing somebody how to do something and having a complete and total failure because you forgot something important. Okay, got that. Just leave that way. I think I'll cut part of that off because I don't need that long of a string on the inside of that. Then I take my uncovered broom and let's see. I don't know if I can tell the difference between the top and the bottom on this, so it doesn't matter which way I go. Okay. Need to aim this in a different direction. Of course, you want to measure your handle. Crochet cotton has definitely got a certain amount of give. And as I started to say, I picked red because I consider red protective. A lot of things that are, for protection are often red. I think because of the Mars associations. Okay, so this goes all the way down to here. And then I want to line up, decide which is the way I'm going to do the main threads, and line them up like so. And start tying it off. You can't see that very well. Let's see. I can put that up. So maybe a little bit. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just making knots in the ribbon. Down to the next set of ribbons. And whatever kind of knot you want to use. And while you're making the knots, what you're doing is you're feeling the energy that you've put into this, into the piece. Feeling it with your energy and with your intention. Try to think about the purpose of the thing you're building. Then, how did I do that? Okay, then I went like that. Only 2 days ago that I did that. That's right, that wraps around the back, and then I'm with the next one. The one I just finished. wraps around the back, and the one that's on top. Do definitely make sure that it's tied down by the one below it before I pull the ribbons around back. That's like where the next one is. So this sort of makes a continuous kind of knot down the front. And I can get rid of that by tying it around the back so it's out of my way. That one, get out of the way. Then of course there's the rest of the things I might want to do with it once I get these done. After I hang them up. And I definitely was thinking about that. The wrong ones back there. Okay, all right. I had some ideas of things I wanted to do. I haven't gotten them all done, but definitely gotten some of them done. I'll show you what those ideas are. I like the idea of making pentagrams out of dowels, for example. So I picked up some smaller dowels that I could use as additional decoration for this. Okay. That one, fine. And the beauty of knotwork is that, you know, your energy is sealing this up every time you do it. One of the reasons I like fabric crafts is because of the same thing. Like you're putting your energy into the entire piece of whatever it is that you're constructing. So it becomes imbued with your thoughts and purpose. One more. That's the reason why you want extra long ribbon when you do it, because, you know, want to make sure you have enough to play with. And they don't have to be identical. You can play with colors. You can You know, you can decorate your broom any way you want. This is just the one I picked because of what I had lying around, and you know, the inspiration came. I'm like, how am I going to keep that on there? What am I going to put on there? That kind of thing. So this seals that sleeve of protection energy. And then you can do whatever you want on the back side. If you want to, you know, make them tight and trim them off. If you want to braid them together, make another little thing on the back. Depends on how much ribbon you have. On this one, I did slightly fewer ribbon, or less long ribbon, shorter ribbon. So I'm going to have to come up with a... my ribbon left. I'm done with you, ribbon. So I'm going to come up with a way of, you know, just sort of tying these guys together into a neat package, as it were, like I did on this one. Like on the back of this one, that's what I did on the back. And then, actually, I guess I should have it lower down, and this is the front of it, where it starts. So now I have 2 brooms, and they'll be mounted like that above my kitchen sink. I have a nice space right there that I think will work well, so that's where I'm going to mount them. And I haven't figured out exactly if I'm using nails or hooks or whatever in order to hold them up, but I'll figure that out. Husband will probably assist me with that process of getting that hung. So once I have them up there, I'm trying to figure out what else I might want to do. So I decided I wanted to put these guys down here for now, 3 small pentagrams. I got these little dowels and started putting some wooden pentagrams together. This is the one that was the harder one to do, I think, than this one. I figured out a better method for putting these together. It's tricky. But, you know, once I get them complete. And the dowels, I think I got these at the dollar store for like $1 or something. I got some of this stuff at the dollar store and some of the stuff at Walmart. And I can't remember now where I got what. Some of it I remember, some of it I don't. So yeah, so like these are the other 5 dowels. And one thing I discovered with my wire, again I'm using red and purple, so there's a theme here. So I have red wire and purple wire putting the things together. As you can see there, wrapping them around and so forth. And my idea is when I have the crossed things like this, I'll have one of them right in the middle and then one up there and one up there nearer to the bristle part. And just as sort of an added energetic protection kind of energy that goes along with it. So that's the idea for that. So far I think that's going to work. It's just kind of, you know, time consuming to try and figure out the specifics of how to get that done. I have my box of wire and my wire cutters and whatnot in there. And then I picked up this. I picked this up at Walmart, I remember for sure. And I'm going to put that on the cross piece like so. When I'm finished with getting it mounted, I'll take a picture of it and post it so you guys can see the finished product, because I can't show it to you finished in person with my arms because it needs to be mounted on a wall before I can add the decorations. But I liked this idea. They had a bunch of different colors, so again, whatever color scheme you're looking at, or whatever kind of decoration you decide you want to put on it, I'm going to put that on. And I picked up some bells, so I haven't figured out exactly how I'm doing them, but they're going to hang from the center piece, you know, from the cross part. I'm going to hang some bells before I put on the flowers there to sort of cover up whatever mess I might make in the process of hanging them. I got these at Walmart. And then I picked up these as well. These are little bitty glass containers with, little corks in them. And again, I haven't quite decided yet what I'm doing with these, but the idea I have is either put in protective herbs like sage and rosemary, that kind of thing, and or chips, like crystal chips, like rose quartz or, amethyst or whatever gemstone chips I might have around. Or I might not use them at all. It's one of those things. But I liked them, so I thought, I think I'll go buy those. Why not? So I picked those up too. So if you're going to be doing witchy crafts, you got to have some items around that you can use in order to get that done. So that's the beginning of this video, and we'll have a bit of a break here for the next part, and then you'll see the rest of the construction. So, talk to you in a bit. Okay, so we're going to finish up with the brooms. I haven't gotten them done and hung up on my wall as yet. It's going to take a little decision on my part, but I thought I'd show you what I had tried out with the bells I want to hang from the cross pieces on the broom. And so my first idea was to use the red crochet cotton. And so I crocheted a sort of set of 5 bells, different lengths. They ring really nice that I can hang. So that's one idea I have. And then I also did a set using jute, I think. So one of those fiber kind of things, and I braided the different colors. I had like 4 different colors, and I made another set like that. So that's one of those things. It's an aesthetic thing to decide, and I might be making some of the bells that I picked up into like on my doorknob kind of thing, which is another traditional thing you can do for protecting your home. So you've seen the first part of the video because this is connected together. I've changed my look since then, obviously. Oh yeah, and I also did just a single one to see what that was like. Or I did it and forgot to add it to the others. Either way. But 5 seems to be a good number for me for any kind of protection because of its association with Mars and that kind of thing. So I said I was going to follow this up with the protection, home protection, car protection sachet. It took me a heck of a long time to find it on my computer. I couldn't figure out what heading I'd put it under, so I did that. Finally found it, and I tried looking it up on the internet and couldn't find it anywhere on the internet, so maybe it's gone at this point. I don't remember where I got it from, so I can't give whoever may have created it credit. So if you know, let me know. That'd be great. So one of the things that you need is a bowl of some kind. So I just picked up one of my kitchen bowls because, me and kitchen witchery, I'm kind of okay with that. A pair of scissors in order to cut your thread when you get to that part. You need a piece of 7-inch white cloth, although I did buy some red cloth, and I don't know that you couldn't use red since it's also protective. So I did 2 of them from the piece I got. I think I have enough material to do like 4 more, so I could make a bunch. And so I'm going to just take one of them. These are the instructions that I have. And so first thing we need to do, they say to pick 3, 7, or 9 protective herbs, and they give you an entire list. And I'll read you the list. Angelica, asafoetida, which is stinky. I wouldn't recommend hanging that in either your house or your car. Ash twigs and leaves, avens, which I'm not sure what that is, I'd have to look it up, balm of Gilead, another one I'm not that familiar with, basil, which you can find in your kitchen usually, bay laurel, which is basically bay leaves, which you can also find in your kitchen, betony, cyclamen, which some people might have growing in the garden, dill, which is a spice that is in your cupboard, elderberries or leaves, fennel, another popular herb for fennel. I don't use fennel for much, so fern. So that would be like the fern growing in the woods, I'm assuming. Flax, so flax seeds would work. Fumitory, I don't know what that is. Horehound, which is kind of like a spicy lozenge kind of thing that they make out of horehound. Hyssop, which some people have in their garden. Juniper, which the easiest form for juniper if you don't have a juniper tree is you can buy juniper berries pretty readily around. At least I can in my area. Lady's slipper, mistletoe, mugwort, and a lot of us have mugwort for dreaming and stuff. Mullein, peony roots, periwinkle, pimpernel, rose geranium, rosemary, of course, which I have, rowan, rue, St. John's wort, snapdragon, tarragon, another popular herb to have in your cupboard, trefoil, or vervain. So these are the herbs that you can pick from. And they want you to pick 3, 7, or 9 herbs. So since I wanted to make sure I could actually do this, I picked 3 for this. And I picked juniper berries, rosemary that I've dried from my garden, and peony root. So once you decide what ingredients you're going to have, and you have your 7-inch cloth, your 7-inch white cloth, you need also some red thread, some kind of red thing to tie, because you're going to be doing some knot magic with this. So I decided to use the crochet cotton I've been using for other things because I have that on hand. So the instructions are, the first thing you want to do is put the herbs you're going to use in your bowl. And you can use a mortar and pestle if you want and grind them up together, but you don't have to do that. They don't need to be ground. And you want to put, pretty much not an overabundance of what you're using because it's not that large a cloth. So if you're doing 7 or 9 herbs, you want to definitely start off with a small amount. They say equal amounts, but I think it's sort of like a bit of a guess when it comes to like berries and leaf and then root. So I picked this sort of because I had them available, but also because they represent different parts of the plant. Root is like earth, sort of, as far as an element goes. Leaf is either watery or fiery, depending. And seed is either akajic or watery, again, depending on the kind of fruit that the item makes. And I think the juniper berries are just about a seed, I'm not sure. But anyway, it sort of gives me a bit of a mix of some different elements as well as the different plants that I'm using. That's just sort of the way I like to work. I want to get some sort of make these a little bit smaller because the peony root comes this way. It's kind of a hard, knobby thing. Not knobby, but just hard. Kind of like a cinnamon stick is also like that. Since I have to figure out what's the approximate amount of the same material for the root. Doesn't have to be exact. And I'm going to sort of break up the rosemary leaves a little bit so that they're a bit smaller. This is certainly something you could do in a pestle, with a mortar and pestle. Apparently my language skills are... And when you do it, apparently I found a hair of some kind in there. Probably mine. Think about what you're making it for. You're doing this for protection, protecting yourself, your loved ones, your property, protecting you while you're driving in your vehicle, if you put one in your vehicle. And since the only difference in how you say your spell is going to be what you want that particular sachet to be for, is pretty easy to modify, and you can make them at, in a row, so you can make a grouping of protective sachets. And focus on that intent, the energy of what you want them to do, realizing that each one of these things has traditional uses for protection. The fact that I grow my own rosemary, I think, makes it even more protective for me, because it's coming from my yard and, my house, my property, that kind of thing. And it's sort of by extension, it's that. And then you want to just sort of mix them up together. And while you're mixing, again, think about what they're for. The juniper berries smell nice, and so does the rosemary. So when you get it all mixed up, you're going to take it and put it in the center. Let me move the bowl away so you can see that. I'm going to use all of it in this one. I'm not going to make both of them right now. That's easier. Okay, so I have them in the center of my thing, and before I start gathering it up together, I want to cut some of my red thread, because I want to be ready so that I can tie it together. Since this thread is, crochet cotton is kind of thin, I like to sort of double it up. In this case, maybe even quadruple it up. You're going to want to have, better not, you want to make 12 knots in this, so you want to make sure that there's enough room. So then you're going to pick this up, and it's best to pick it up by the corners to start. That way it's likely to stay together in one thing. And then you can fold it so you can put your fold it up a little bit like so. Yeah, there we go. You see there are a number of herbs in there. You can also add like stones like tiger eye or tourmaline or something like that if you want to add a little extra protection, or a crystal, or and when you do your first, when you're getting ready to do your knots, especially when you're working with this kind of material, instead of just doing one thing down there, go around twice, so that makes it sort of more stable, just less likely to slip out while you're doing your other part. Okay, so that gets me started on this. And then, after I've got that started, then I start with my knots. And you're going to do 12 knots, and for each knot you're going to say, I bind thee to protect this house and all within, if it's for your house. If you're making one for your car, you change it to, I bind thee to protect this car or my car and all within it, you know. So you modify it depending on what you're making it for to protect. So since I am making this for the house, I bind thee to protect this house and all within. I bind thee to protect this house and all within. That's 2. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. 3. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. 4. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 5. Bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 6. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 7. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 8. Bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 9. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 10. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 11. I bind thee to protect this house and all within it. That's 12. So you can use a tool, your Othame, if you want to, a wand if you want to. I didn't bring my Othame out here, but you can also use your finger as your Othame. And it says, when done, face north, which is behind me, so I'm in the north, and we'll call me facing it in that sense. And you hold your knife aloft in your strong hand, your sachet in the other, so this is my knife today. And then place the tip of the knife against the sachet and say, may this which I have fashioned tonight serve as guardian and protection for this house and all who reside within it. May it serve me well. And you can end that with, so mote it be, whatever you decide, if you want to add something to it. And then you take it and you can hang this. You can hang it over your doorway. You can hang it in the highest part of your house. You can hide it in a closet, like tuck it up on a shelf, like, you know, the top part of a closet in the corner where people are not likely to come across it. When we were doing these in the group a number of years ago, one of our members had made one for herself, and she had put it in her garage because the way the house was, she was taking care of it for her parents, and the door, basically, you had to open up the garage for people to come into the house. And somebody was knocking on the outside of her garage, and so she opened up the garage to see who it was, and there was the guy there who she didn't get a great feeling from. He seemed kind of sketchy, and she wouldn't invite him in, but she talked to him for a bit, but he wouldn't come in. It was like he started to come in and then he stopped. It was like something deterred him, and she is convinced that what did it was the sachet for protection that she had just put in the garage, and that he could feel the energy, and so it kept him from coming in and potentially harming her. She really thought he was sketchy. I don't know if she was right or not. We didn't see the guy, but she had pretty good instincts, so she was probably correct. So that is a basic protection sachet for your house. And with the brooms, crossing the brooms, putting them over a doorway or a window, and making something like this, what you're doing is you're sort of you're sending out a message to the universe. You're defining your space, and you're defining your space as a safe space, and that's imprinting itself. It's not the sachet as much as it is as you're making it, and the associations that we have with the herbs and the thought process and the energy and the feelings associated with protection, and putting that in there. So that's how all of those types of spells really work. You're creating this environment on the invisible planes, on the astral and the mental plane, energetically putting it out there that anybody who wishes you harm is in trouble if they cross your threshold and come into your space and then try to harm you. And so it's a deterrent. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see about putting this instruction thing up in the comments. I can figure out how to do that. I think I can figure that out. I'm always learning something new. And when I'm finished with putting the brooms up, I'll take a picture of it and show it to you so you can see my finished product. But again, it's your inspiration and your creativity and everything else that decides what it's going to look like. This is just what I decided to do and how my mind works and what I liked and that kind of thing. So, there's no, this is how it must be done, except for the fact that you want those bristles up, not down. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm going to see about making some more how-to videos as time goes on. But I think we did a pretty good job with this one. Let me know what you think, and let me know what other kinds of things you might want to see done, and I can see if I've got those lying around, or if I've done them before, or if I can find something, or whatever. You know how it works. So this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. Blessed be.